What do you want, David? I spat at the wicked man in front of me, who laughed in return. The nasty smirk on his face did nothing but infuriated me even more than I already was. I crawled back on the bed when he leaned down to my face. I tugged at the ropes on my wrist to break free, but it only made my skin burn with pain. With a devilish smile on his lips, he leaned towards my lips. I turned away my face on time, and his lips landed on my cheek. My skin burned where his lips touched. My face twisted in disgust. He chuckled against my cheek. A sheer urge to smash his head into pieces arose inside me. Playing hard to get, I like it, baby girl. He brought his hand to my cheek, his thumb rubbing my lips. I tilted my head and glared at him. Get your filthy hands off me, you! I roared, rage bubbling up inside me as I thrashed my head, throwing off his hand. He threw his head back, laughing like a psychopath. He was indeed a psychopath. How long, Van? How long are you going to resist me? We are going to get married in few hours. I'll make you mine completely. Trust me, Van, no one can save you from me, not even your mighty father. He tilted his head, smirking down at me. My anger rose to great heights. Without thinking twice about the consequences, I spat on his face. I watched as he squeezed his eyes, a muscle in his jaw ticked. The next second, my skin stung as he landed a hard slap on my cheek. The sound of the slap echoed in the room, but my focus was on the ringing in my ear. Metallic taste of blood invaded in my mouth. I clenched my jaw in pain when he fisted my hair. His grip was painfully tight. A hiss escaped my lips when he tugged at my hair and turned my face towards him. I stared at him with rage while he had a winning smile on his lips. I tugged at the ropes as my hands itched to wipe off that grin on his face. Save your energy, darling. You will need it later for our wedding night. I scoffed and laughed mockingly. It made his smile disappear. His face twisted with anger, and I knew I triggered the right nerve. He wanted to scare me, but I won't let him overpower me. Wedding night? You are talking about wedding night. I promise there won't be a wedding but your funeral. Mark my words. You have committed a grave sin by kidnapping me, and this slap, you are going to pay for it with your life. Though I was scared from inside, but he needed not to know. I like challenges, and above all, I like winning them. Let's see who can save you from me. He left my hair with a jerk and straightened up. I am sending someone to help you in getting ready, and don't you dare throw any tantrums. Remember, you are on my mercy, and we don't want you dead before our wedding, do we, sweetheart? He raked his eyes on me from top to bottom and left with a nasty smirk. I sighed in relief and fell back on the bed. Only if I had obeyed father and hadn't sneaked out to party in club, I wouldn't be here with this psychopath. I need to do something to get out of here. I can't marry that. But what should I do? When I was busy thinking of a way to escape, the door opened and a maid walked in. I frowned when she glared at me. She walked over to me and harshly opened the ropes around my wrist. Now, what was her problem? Hey, you could be gentle, you know. I spoke, rubbing my wrist, which were red due to the ropes. I narrowed my eyes when she glared at me and threw a bridal gown on my lap. Change your clothes quick. I don't have whole day for you. I scoffed incredulously. She was a maid but showing attitude as if she was some kind of queen. Pardon me, I respect everyone irrespective of their work, but she was being mean to me. I won't wear this, and do not use this tone with me. I threw the dress across the room and stood up with a jerk. The girl startled at the coldness in my voice and stepped back. Girls would do anything to marry him. Then why are you throwing tantrums? Just get ready. I don't know what he saw in you that he is so desperate to marry you. She mumbled the last sentence to herself, but I heard it. I smirked. So she likes a filthy boss. If he's that good, then you marry him. I'm not interested. I rolled my eyes and looked away. I was too tired to argue with her. Sweetheart, I snapped my head towards her, hearing David's voice, and found it was coming from her phone. There are hundreds of armed men scattered at every corner of the house. Don't make me call someone and shoot you in your head. Better get ready. His voice was rough and authoritative. I looked up to find that girl smirking at me. She disconnected the call and threw the phone on the bed. Now change your clothes. She nudged her chin towards the dress which was lying at one corner of the room. I silently walked over to the dress and picked it up while my whole focus was on getting the phone anyhow. It was the only way for me to escape from here. I removed my clothes, leaving my undergarments on, and slipped onto the wedding attire, which fitted me perfectly as if it was made for me. Come and sit here, I'll do your makeup. I rolled my eyes and sat on the stool in front of the dressing table. She started with my hair and did minimal makeup. All the while, I was internally praying for her to forget her phone here. I'll come back in 15 minutes. Till then, try your best to escape. She gave me a mocking smile and left. The lock clicked from outside. I smirked at her foolishness. I wasted no time in running over to the bed and grabbed the phone. Clicking on the emergency call, I typed Dad's number. Dialing it, I put the phone to my ear and waited for him to pick up. Sweat trickled down my forehead and I gulped. A huge lump formed in my throat. I had very less time before she found her phone missing. I cursed under my breath when the call went on voicemail. I dialed once again, but again the same thing happened. I stomped my foot in frustration. Should I call for help? I held my head and forced my brain to think of something. Jolted up when I remembered someone. Typing his number hastily, I dialed it and waited for him to pick up. Yes, I sighed in relief hearing his voice. Hello, Taehyung. It's me, Ryan. I said, eyeing the closed door. Bye. My eyes widened in horror. Hey, listen to me. David kidnapped me last night and now he's forcing me to marry him. I need your help. Okay, send me your location, he said lazily. I gritted my teeth, frustration mounting inside me. I'm standing in a room which has no windows. There's a small bed in the middle, a dressing table, and a couch. This is my location. I waited for his response, but he disconnected the call. I stared at the phone in utter disbelief. Why did I even bother asking him for help? My attention diverted to the door, which clicked open, and the maid walked inside. I clutched the phone in my hands and hid it behind my back. She looked at the bed, probably looking for her phone. When she didn't find it there, she looked up at me, glaring profusely. You have my phone, right? Give it back. She stepped towards me while I stepped back. Give it back or else I'll call David. She threatened, pointing her finger at me. A muscle in my jaw ticked. I held her arm and pinned her to the bed in a wink. I pressed her head in the mattress to muffle her scream. Tying her hands with the ropes, I tied my scarf around her mouth. Your voice is damn irritating, woman, I exclaimed, looking at her in amusement, who was wriggling to free herself. She glared at me and muttered some incoherent words. I sat on the bed and dialed Dad's number again, but it went on voicemail. I groaned and tugged at my hair. The clock was ticking. Time was slipping out of my hands, and I still hadn't found a way to escape. I flinched at my spot, hearing gunshots from outside. Did Taehyung come? No. I rose from the bed when a furious David barged inside, followed by two of his men. He looked at the struggling woman on bed and then at me. Inject her and take her outside from the back door, he instructed the man, who nodded and walked towards me. I got in position and pounced on them. Ain't no way I'm letting them drug me once again. I punched one man on his nose and he fell on the floor unconscious. Turned my head towards the other and hit a blow, but it dodged it. I fought against him, but the heavy dress was being a big hurdle. My energy was draining out. The man managed to grab my hands behind my back. Leave me. I wriggled and landed a kick on his knee. I gasped, and my head turned to the side when David's hand met my cheek. I snapped my head and glared at him. I heard the gunshots approaching nearer. I knew he was here. I needed to hold for some more minutes. Give me the injection and hold her tight. I took the injection while the man held my hands behind my back. Your death is near, David. Few more minutes. I spat without an ounce of fear. Shut up. He roared and threw the cap of injection. Closed my eyes ready to feel a sting, but heard two gunshots followed by third sound. I opened my eyes to find David and that man on floor in the pool of their own blood. My eyes traveled towards the door. There stood Taehyung, holding guns in each hand. I had never felt so happy by seeing him. I ran towards him and jumped on him, my hands around his neck and legs around his torso. You pig, get off me, you are heavy. I chuckled and pecked his cheek. You came. I grinned as I stood in front of him. I came for uncle because he loves his daughter. I didn't came to save you. He rolled his eyes when I grinned even more. Let's get out of here. My men will be here anytime. They'll take care of this mess. He grabbed my wrist, but I stood firm on my place. What now? He sounded annoyed. I sprayed my arms and batted my eyelashes innocently. You are not a kid. He groaned, but nevertheless picked me up in bridal style. Let's just get home. I'll take revenge for it. He squinted at his eyes at me whilst I giggled at him. Did you fight with all of them alone? I asked in shock, seeing the man either unconscious or dead. It isn't a big deal for the heir of mafia. I'm well trained to fight alone, unlike you. I pouted and punched on his chest. It is hard to fight in this heavy dress, I reasoned, whilst he shook his head in helplessness. Wow, did you come here on him? My eyes lit up when I saw Michael, his host, standing there. I was horse riding when you called me. I rushed here on Michael, replied and helped me in climbing on Michael and climbed behind me. He leaned on me. His front came in contact with my back and held the ropes. Let's go, Michael. He tugged at the ropes Michael laid and ran at the speed of light. I was thrilled by this new feeling. I always wanted to learn horse riding but was scared. Taehyung unknowingly fulfilled my wish. Taehyung walked inside the living room with me in his arms. I watched the scene unfolding before my eyes. My mother was crying and my father was shouting on someone on his phone. I want my daughter safe and sound. Find. He halted when his gaze fell on us. He ran towards us, followed by my mother. Wine, are you okay, dear? Where were you? Taehyung, you. He glanced between me and Taehyung. Dad, I was kidnapped, but I am fine. Taehyung saved me. I smiled at Taehyung, who smirked at me. My mother opened her mouth to say something, but I beat her to it. Mom, I'm tired. I'll explain everything later. I said, and thankfully she didn't ask anything. Take me to my room. I poked Taehyung's cheek. He glared at me, but nonetheless made his way towards my room. He put me down and I walked towards the bathroom to change. When I came back, I found him sprawled on my bed. You are still here? He peered at me and closed his eyes. I'm staying. Now come here and cuddle me. I scolded at him. Why would I cuddle you? And go to the restroom. I want to sleep. He opened his eyes and glared at me. I saved you, so technically I owe your life, and above all, you are my fiance. I can cuddle you as much as I want. He patted the space beside him and gestured me to lie there. If it wasn't for our family's friendship, I would have never agreed to marry you. I said and lay down beside him. He shifted closer and wrapped his arms around my waist. Same here. Now sleep, noisy woman. I turned towards him and snuggled in his chest, thumping my legs over his. I thought you won't come. I mumbled against his chest. He sighed and pulled me closer. Why won't I? All the childless fights and hatred aside. I love you, darling. He looked down at me and placed a kiss on my head. It is the first time you are accepting your feelings for me. I lifted my head, placing my chin on his chest. There are many things you are going to experience first time, like your punishment for sneaking out. I gasped in astonishment. My eyes went round. You know? Yes, I came to know when I rushed to find you. Now sleep. Punishment still have time. He tightened his grip around me and patted my head with his free hand. Let's get married this Sunday. He mumbled against my hair. Why so early? It is due next month. He leaned down to my face, smirking at me. Early marriage, early punishment. Saying so, he pecked my lips. Blood rushed to my cheeks as my face flushed. I buried my face in his chest, which vibrated when he laughed at my antics. I smiled, feeling warm and safe in his arms. I had hated him since childhood. We were like frenemies, always fighting but always together. Growing up, we didn't know when our hatred turned into love. When our parents were pestering us to get married, we acted like we didn't want to get married, but deep down, we were dancing in happiness. I love this fusty man who becomes a complete different person whenever he's around me. What are you thinking? My thoughts were interrupted by his hoarse voice. I peered at him to find him looking at me with half open eyes. Nothing. I shook my head and placed a chapstick kiss on his chin. Sleep. He extended his hand and switched off the lights. I closed my eyes, letting sleep consume my senses.